I have a feeling my friends and family don't care whether or not I kept my iron. Hi, it's Nidya, not Nancy. And can I be honest with you for a minute? A lot has happened in the last 6 weeks since I recorded that first YouTube video. I know I had a lot of gusto coming into this saying, I'm gonna get started and this is happening. And then I posted a video and then I disappeared. First of all, we moved. In the chaos of packing and cleaning and signing all the papers and the anxiety of escrow and all of it, YouTube just was not a priority for me. And then of course, just after moving really is when poop hit the fan. So life as we know it is different. I know that all of us have been spending a lot of time thinking about these things, and many of us are suffering from a lot of anxiety as a result of the uncertainty in the world right now. I'm not going to pretend that I know anything about what's going on, nor am I going to spend my time ruminating on those topics because truthfully, many of us are already fully saturated. Like, we're just done. We've got enough of that going on. But I do want to take an opportunity to spend some time talking about something that admittedly is much less important, but might benefit us to just shift our energies to something that isn't scary and overwhelming and terrifying and all those other things. So I'm talking today about something that has actually got a lot of attention in the last few years, and it has a lot of buzz around it and memes around it, but it's something that I'm actually, I hesitate to use the word passionate, but I'm interested in and have experienced lately. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is the word that I'm going to talk about is minimalism. Quite honestly, even before minimalism was a buzzword, I feel as though I was pretty well exposed to what a minimalistic lifestyle looks like. I think my mom is a perfect example of minimalism, almost further out than even what I would describe myself now, because she is somebody who does not have a lot of decor, no such thing as a junk drawer, no such thing as cluttered closets. Like, if it's not something she needs, she purges it. And so I gravitated towards that early on, even without having a term to label it. And in my adulthood, as somebody who has anxiety, I always found myself wanting things in a particular place, in a particular way, have systems for everything. And so when this method or this philosophy of living was coming out, I was like, hello, this resonates with me. This is something I'm doing. And now I have a label that I can put on it. Awesome. I'm a minimalist. Really, it boils down to 3 different categories, 2 of which are more common. The third, I'm really not going to talk about too much, but I am going to talk about the first 2. Anyway, first column of minimalism is your literal physical possessions and space. So we're talking about items in your home, in your cupboards, in your junk drawer, in your closets, your decor, your clothing, your makeup, your personal care items, all of it. Anything that's a tangible possession of yours, that's one category that minimalism often tackles. And a huge one to tackle that also has a lot of emotional responses to it that we can talk about. But first category, physical space. The next category is a digital space. And this is one that's kind of unique to these last few generations in that we have a lot of digital content, whether that be actual digital files, like things that you've saved on your computer, your paper from high school, your college report on the abundance and distribution of ferns in the ravines at Grand Valley, or even, social media accounts that you follow, things that you follow on Twitter, on Instagram, Facebook groups, emails that you're subscribed to, all of this digital content that is a part of your life, but maybe not as much so in a tangible sense. The third category is kind of an emotional, spiritual component. And that's where you start to ask yourself questions about the people that you keep in your life, the company you keep, asking yourself if there's any people in your life that you need to declutter. That sounds really insensitive, but very literally, if there's people that aren't really in alignment with the lifestyle and the goals that you see for yourself. Working towards surrounding yourself with people that are positive, uplifting, motivating, encouraging, those sorts of things. And of course, there's also a spiritual, emotional component of asking yourself if there's some baggage that you're carrying that could be decluttered in a figurative sense so that you can move forward lighter, freer, and more positive. Now, whether it's the physical or digital or even in the emotional sense, there are some questions that you typically ask yourself as to whether or not you're keeping this item in your life. Now, the first, of course, is on a literal sense, is it logistically necessary for you to keep this item? I mean, when you're looking at your toothbrush, do you brush your teeth every day? Hopefully. So you probably need your toothbrush. But at the same time, you might have a set of curlers in your cupboard under your bathroom sink that you haven't touched in the last 5 years that you keep saying, maybe someday I'll curl my hair, and you never curl your hair. Are you really going to curl your hair? Probably not. Maybe get rid of the curlers. So when you're asking yourself very literally if you need the item, that's kind of the first wave that you go through to say, I don't need to keep this. It can go. The next question that you ask yourself is if it's something that truly brings you joy. Now, I know in the Marie Kondo method or the KonMari method that was popularized by Marie Kondo, she discusses this idea, and I know it's kind of become a meme in recent years, but asking yourself when you have an item if it sparks joy. If you have a book that you read long ago or haven't even got to, and you hold it and you're saying to yourself, I don't necessarily need to keep this, like it's not something that I'm like, oh my goodness, I loved this book. If it's not that kind of feeling with the item, get rid of it. It's simply in your space for no reason. It's not benefiting you to have it there. So do you need it? Is it something that you truly enjoy? Those are really the two big questions that you ask yourself as you're going through all the items that you have, again, whether it's in a literal sense or in a digital sense, and being able to decipher what are the items that you're keeping and what are the items that need to be let go. Now, when it comes to digital content, it can be just as overwhelming, even though you don't have things occupying a physical space around you. I know for me, whenever I check my email, the number of accounts or the number of emails that I receive from random businesses that at one point in time I gave them my email address is overwhelming. But listen, it is so empowering to go through each one as you're receiving them. And if it's not something that you want to keep receiving emails from, unsubscribe. I had hundreds of emails coming through a week that were just plain junk. Label them as spam or unsubscribe. There's no reason for you to be burdened with those every day. Not to mention, in the course of minimalism, part of that is not continuing to buy things that you don't need. Not only does it save money, but it also works towards your goal of only having things that you love. So if you're getting emails with all the big sales that are happening at Kohl's or Sephora or at Carter's, oh my gosh, Carter's is extreme about their emails. Between Carter's and Oshkosh, and I had to leave it. I couldn't do it. I don't need to know about the last sale that you're having when you're having a last sale every freaking day. So do yourself a favor, unsubscribe from all those unnecessary emails or label them as spam so you're not confronted with them every day, because this can be overwhelming even in a digital space. As far as social media accounts, somebody who I follow, who I know I've told a lot of people about, is What Kate Finds. And I love what she says about following people on social media. You need to ask yourself if they fit into one of three categories. Do they teach you something, inspire you, or make you laugh? If they don't fall for whatever the account is, whether it's a business account or a personal account, and these can be friends that you actually follow, or if it's social influencers or businesses, like I said, if they don't fall into one of those three categories, teach you something, inspire you, or make you laugh, they need to go. Because again, we don't want to be confronted with people who are negative. We don't want to be confronted with businesses that are trying to make a sale. We don't want to be confronted with anything that triggers us and makes us feel insecure or anxious or less than. I want to make sure that all of the content that I'm putting in is positive. So do yourself a favor, go through your Facebook groups, go through your pages you follow on Instagram, on YouTube, or even your friends on Facebook or Snapchat or whatever. Then the hip thing to be doing is erase, defriend, unfollow content that isn't positive, uplifting, informative, good. Let it go. So when we were packing up our home, I was determined to try and have as few boxes as possible. Really and truly only bringing to this new house only the things that I need. Now, truthfully, I still ended up with a lot of things. And even when I unpacked, I found myself still having a donation box of things as I'm unpacking, looking at it going, where am I even going to put this? What am I even going to do with this? I was really confronted with forcing myself to be even more minimal than I had already been previously. And actually, honestly, I, for a while, was filming myself go through all my things as I made decisions as to whether or not they were going to be donated or come with us. And I went and watched that footage and I thought to myself, okay, there are YouTube channels where that's all people do. And there are communities of people who are really into that. I have a feeling my friends and family don't care whether or not I kept my iron. So let's circle back. Many of us, not all of us, I understand some people are still out there hustling, working, making their money, which is good, but many of us are stuck at home. So what better time than the present to start taking on this project? Now, here's the deal. I feel like a lot of people avoid doing this because of the overwhelming anxiety that can result from really getting all your things out of a closet, let's say, or out of your dressers or out of a drawer and having to decipher what you're keeping. And I can tell you from my experience from packing up, I know that there's a lot of guilt that can come out as a result of doing it too, of feeling shameful for items that you've purchased that you don't actually use, or things that you've kept around for so long, or even the reality also of getting rid of things that were gifted to you but really don't serve a purpose in your life. So for many of us, the way to avoid that feeling is to just not deal with the problem that's there. If you don't deal with it, if you don't empty your closets, if you don't empty your drawers, if you don't pull everything out of your dressers, you don't have to deal with it. I would encourage you to take a deep breath and give this a go. Now, while I believe that it is most effective when you really are confronted with all of the things you have by laying it all in front of you and weeding through it, you don't have to go about it with that method. If I were in someone's shoes where I'm wanting to kind of get rid of some things and I want to have less things in my house, I want to declutter, as they call it, but I don't necessarily want to destroy a room by getting everything out of it. Step one would be grabbing 2 garbage bags, 1 bag for donate, 1 bag for trash, and just walk through your rooms, looking around, and just on surface level, don't even empty your drawers or anything unless you feel prompted to and you feel brave enough to do that. I said go for it. But if you're not there, the least you can do is just walk through spaces and with a discerning eye and ask yourself, is it something you need or is it something you love? And if it doesn't fit into either of those categories, let it go. Put it in the trash bag or put it in the donate bag, and know that you are bettering your space as a result of minimizing it. The other benefit to going about it this way also is that your bag that's donate, if you feel comfortable, leave it in an allocated space like your garage or something. Leave it there for a month. And if you don't think about the items that are in that bag for the span of that month, they're safe to go. Worst case scenario, you're like, oh my gosh, that book or that whisk or that nail polish that I thought I didn't want, I actually want it. You can go to the garage and get it out and it's safe. But if you don't think about it, you can confidently let it go because really, clearly didn't mean that much to you anyway. A note on donations. I love shopping at thrift stores, and I have been known to shop at Goodwill because you can find really unique, interesting clothing pieces or decor items at a really good deal. Now, here's the thing. Okay, part of minimalism, of course, is not just the decluttering, it's also not bringing more things into your home that are not necessary. So first step would be to say, maybe think about not bargain shopping just for the sake of bargain shopping, because you're not doing yourself any good if you're getting rid of things and then just bringing them right back in the home. But as far as donations go, I would encourage you to try and find a local small business thrift store whose funds are specifically allocated to a particular initiative. So for me, in Zealand, there were a handful of different places that I knew that I could go, or Zealand, Holland area, where the majority of the revenue that they make either goes back into the business or goes towards mission funds. Now, if that's not something specifically that you support, you can find an initiative you do support and donate to that. All right, listen, like I started out saying, I know that this is of trivial importance in comparison to the reality that we're confronted with right now, but I figure for many of us, this is a silver lining opportunity to be able to bring some more peace into our homes and to be able to give back by donating things that are no longer of use to you. Keep an eye out on the Facebook page that has been also not very active lately, but my plan is to start to try and have some more dialogue there. If you end up doing any minimizing at all in your home, photo proof in the comments on Facebook, otherwise it didn't happen. So I look forward to seeing if anyone decides to get rid of some things, to only have things in their home that bring them purpose or joy. With that, I will leave you with goodbye.